kind of just a test to see what her system is, because I haven't done this in so long. But just a few thoughts of the upcoming ritual that is we call these the Super Bowl and everything leading up to the Super Bowl. I mean, it's going to be a quite ritualistic year. It's interesting if you look at the colors, which is the theme of the Super Bowl. Already we see the Chiefs and we see the Eagles colors in the theme. And I know that Rambo had put that he thought that the colors again was going to be Shiva, because you know Shiva is the giver and the destroyer. But I've showed time and time again where they've used that, and they've used that again this year. Seems like this kind of energy feeds a lot. So that's another thing that I wanted to show. Uh, I've just got some scrambled notes, so it's not. Oh my bad. What's happening, Sean? Thank you for coming to see me. Oh my goodness. Guess I can get into the weather up here, man. We're about to get hammered with more of that Arctic cold weather. Tomorrow, you see, we go to we go to high school games every Tuesday, every Friday. We go to high school games, and the weather has changed tremendously. Well, the weather is going to change to like -14 by the time we get out the game tomorrow night. It's howling. That's one reason why I did it next to the window. It's howling up here. If you listen to it, you can hear it. But not much, man. Hey, Jim, what's happening? Not much. Thank you for joining. Not a whole lot is happening. Uh, so just a couple just a couple of my observations away about how these energies are being used. You know, if you look at the Super Bowl right now, it's basically, you know, the Eagles versus the Chiefs, which is the Chiefs would again, you know, being Western and the Eagles being on the coast. So you see right there the fight again, and the fight always tends to be, you know, the birds. You know, the birds are always in conflict with someone, and you know, guys know I'm a Stone Eagle fan since the '70s, but still, if you look at this battle already, it's like the Eagles are against, you know, the more natural element of the Americas. So that's a, you know, that's kind of how I initially look at things. You know, I kind of look at the whole totality of what you're seeing, um, and then I try to apply how well, the first thing I try to apply is, how does this affect me? You know, what does this mean to me? I mean, is this even worth thinking about? And of course, they always go back and forth with, because here, I guess I do got some stuff to talk about. They always give you some back and forth. Is it real or is it fake? And I've been into getting these magazines. And this magazine is called What If? All right, not very. This came out, I want to say this is it's a recurring thing, so issue 10. What if? This kind of looks very much, you could almost say, aging Jimmy Carter. You know? You think his world is going spiritually. Met a lot of people who are worried. You know, I'll say this, and you know, I'll get back to this, but I'll say this spiritually. There's been a shift. See, that was one part of America that they never conquered of the Americas. They've never really been fully able to spiritually conquer this land. They've been able to slave the beings, but as far as the true spiritual system, despite all their locks, all their popple bulls, all this discovery, they truly have never spiritually conquered, especially these American lands. And I can say that for other parts where, you know, we have long indigenous traditions, because again, what they took over was the lower vibration of it all. They never took over the highest spiritual parts. And so that is what there always has been their gain, and they've never gained that. So therefore, this is all their attention has been so trying to fight this thing and trying to make you despise and be scared of this thing that kind of works for everyone. And so they're finally really losing like they never lost before. And so that's where I feel they are. That's where I feel that they are spiritually with this. And that's why I feel so many people are waking up. You know, I would say this, Sean, you know, what does that mean to me? And I guess I'll get back to this magazine. Let me tell you what this means to me, and let me show you how I look at this. I know Zach Hubbard had questioned why go to the games, and I've been going to pro games since I was 12 years old. And for me, I know what it boils down to is something my great grandfather did. He sold a plot of land to a high school, just actually donated, had a football field on it. So even my own sports experience, coaching experience, roughing experience, being a keen witness to this thing since the 60s. And then I see this. Now I'll say this: I did a book report thing, or maybe that's not the right word. I think when Chuck Hughes died, I watched that game. I watched the game where Chuck Hughes died, because for a while they tried to say Buck is tackle. I watched that game though. But I'm also been able to as I said, been able to see how this thing has progressed. Now, getting back to about why I go to the pro games. I hold the energy. And when I say I'm the holder of the infinite sacred ball game created by the Hero Twins, I am definitely that when I go to a pro game. You understand? I am that. When I go to college games, I'm the same thing. And then when I go to these high school games, I'm the same thing. So even though the layers around me change, my position doesn't change as I go into these games. I still hold the purity of what the game is. It's like simple thing that most people wouldn't even pay attention to, but just the love of the game, half court shots, a couple bucks. If you hit, you might make how many people. But this is just pure love of the game. And yes, there's a reward, but the reward is what? Hitting a long shot and getting a couple dollars? No, it's the love. They don't care if they participate. And so I'm one thing, despite these things being layered against me. My viewpoint on it is the same thing. I guess you can say the spiritual objector to what they put on top of what's pure in the Americas. Saw Lorenzo came in here. How you doing, Lorenzo? Thank you. Not gonna go very long. Thank you. Oh yeah, as well. You know. And so I do have to let me see one thing. And so and this is for Quantum, and this is for the Bomber people. So I'm that when I go to all these games. If you understand, I am that. Like, it's funny. I ran into, let me tell you how talent and how we've got a storm up here. Oh, and I'm going to tell you, any recruiters, you guys know recruiters, if you're not getting these Minnesota Hoopers, you are sitting on it. We have sent Scuggs. We have sent Holgram. Page is the woman's side. Gary Trent Jr. All these people grew up right around. And you not, but there's a name out there, Hopkins High School player, Jaden Moore. Look him up. He has an engine that I've only seen a few people have his engine. So Jaden Moore, look up Jaden Moore. He's a sophomore. And I watched him go back for back with some dudes hitting threes, and he was just blowing by people. And so my love of the game is that. And that's why no matter when I sit through this stuff, I have the same, and it's the same role. You understand? It's the same role. So I wanted to put that out there. I wanted to thank the people for the nephew, the ones that gave love to the nephew. Thank you. It's funny, I spent the last 2 nights with his grandmother, of course, and um, with his son. Well, not his mom and his son. Well, actually, we picked up his son and took him to the game with us the other night. And then we had dinner after the game, and so he's been with us. Then my other nephew he just turned 18, so we had that celebration. So been seeing a lot of him, but thank you for the well wishes for that. And so yeah, and then Mug, just be old, just be old, and I don't have a lot to say. Thank you. That's nice to say. Thank you. Thank you, Ziggy Two Cup. Oh yeah. You know what? Do you think? Oh, I'll tell you what, man. I'll say this, Lorenzo. I think, are they catching up to us? These boys is going everywhere, and really on a plane, we ain't nowhere from Chicago by plane. 45 minutes. I think it's something like that. 45, 50 minutes, hour at the most. We're nowhere from Chicago by plane. So yeah, it's the hooping here is crazy. Right now, this nephew's team is you can look them up. They're Minnetonka boys, and they've lost their third game. They had like a 9-10 game win streak, and then they lost after, I think, their 11th game they lost. So this is competition up here. I mean, some dudes hooping. We're about to go in this tournament. Well, we got another month or so, but yeah, hoopers up here. Y'all know recruiters and the A&T people. Anybody? There's dudes hooping up here, and if y'all ain't up here, I'ma holler at A&T people. But if they ain't trying to get these hoopers up here, they gonna be mistaken. Yeah, introduce these sports to them, not the other way around. Oh, yes, it's hockey too. Oh, it's hockey. Yeah. Oh, we got the baddest hockey dudes, men and women. As I said before, I used to work with some girls. But yeah, hockey. But these hoopers up here, man, I've watched some good hooping this year. I mean, dudes can go. So, and I've been consistently, I had a little cold last week, but I've been consistently going to all these high school games since November. Consistently going to games since November. I went to the pro game. If it wasn't for the nephew turning 18, we was going to go see the game last night because they beat the Warriors in overtime. And we just didn't go because we had Benihana reservations. And it was like a last minute cut up. We had to cancel one for the other. So that's the only reason we didn't go to the game last night. We went to Benihana's. And let me tell you a little funny story about Benihana's. It's a dude, I could tell he had never been there. But he had waited before we got in, and I saw him. So I was going out to watch the game because they got a bar up in there. So I was sitting there watching the game, and the brother was going crazy with his 2 or 3-year-olds. Like, there's no reason we should be up here so long. So I kind of laughed. But when you go to that kind of thing. But yeah, that's the only reason we didn't go to the game last night was because of that. And then high school, I think high school games the next 2 nights. We doing that. But I'll go through this a little bit. This is some what if. This is for quantum science, and this is for what if. And that's what it is. It looks at some different possibilities of history. And why do they do this kind of thing? And I'm looking where to start. Okay, here's one. And this is what's interesting. Because did something happen or did something not happen? And this says, what if Lincoln had lived? What if Lincoln had lived? And they give you individual timelines. It says Lincoln impeached in threat, accused of overstepping constitutional authority during Civil War. And so they give you the alternate timeline if he survives. They stop him from being assassinated. And the plot is discovered, and Booth is wounded, and they capture him. Civil Rights Act passed by the 14th Amendment in January of 1615. Congress pushes hard for tangible start to Reconstruction, but Lincoln is unwilling to accelerate it. Much to Lincoln proceeds. The newly formed attacks families. The newly formed Ku Klux attacks family. With the help of Ulysses S. Grant, Lincoln sees the Klan dismantled in 1868. A country united, a shaken, resolute, concedes that Reconstruction needs a swifter resolution. Eventually, the rebel states are reintegrated into the Union, enough sanctions to appease the North. And that's in 1870. And Lincoln passes away, having been Reconstruction to the end. Lincoln passes away after his beloved Mary, and this is in 1882. So what they're saying is a lot of the civil rights errors, which was actually voted for back then, might have changed. Oh, there's that bad man. What's happening? Oh, no, it's going to be minus 40, man. Silva, it's going to be minus 40 here tomorrow. Or no, excuse me, minus 14. And I don't know what the wind chill, but yeah, it's cold. It's cold. So this is one alternative through history. And it just makes us wonder if this had happened. Another one is, what if communism failed? So what if the Bolsheviks was defeated? What if the Catholic Army by the Tsar defeated the Jewish faith Bolshevik army? They defeat them. The military overthrows, restating the Tsar. So basically what they're saying is a military coup. The military overthrows Kerensky, reinstating the Tsar. Hitler is stalled. Without America as an enemy, Russia grows as dominant industrial force without the Cold War. So these are some of these alternate histories. And then of course, this one, that looks a lot like, I guess, with the new computer generated faces and stuff, But you can definitely see the Jimmy Carter similarities. And both are true and false at the same time. Was one the other? Was the other one? Part of both, yes, and part of both, no. Yep. So, all right. Going into what would be if Kennedy lives, going into what would be altered. He runs against Goldwater in his second tour and beats Goldwater. He takes a stance over the Soviet Union, and he wins in 1964. He doesn't go into Vietnam. He holds off going into Vietnam. Reluctant to put a big force in. A small torpedo boat torpedoes one of the bigger ships, not really a lot of damage. He doesn't take the bait. He doesn't go in. He doesn't send them Warhawks in. Holding back from Vietnam, avoiding war with the North Vietnamese, open between the two players in the Cold War, and tensions ease in 1967 without a shot fired. That shows that it could have been done. After Kennedy's second term ends, takes his place in the White House, the former First Lady feels she's done her duty and formally separates. Isn't that funny? And then he dies. But they're basically saying that Vietnam could have been avoided, if you dig what I'm saying. Vietnam totally could have been avoided. What if Watergate hadn't been broken down? So what if Nixon never goes to jail over Watergate, which could have easily happened? The tapes were burned. Nixon and his people, that's what they got him on, was the tapes. They burned the tapes. EPA is scrapped because it was growing too powerfully. 1974, U.S. enters Vietnam in 1974, not 1968. U.S. re-enters Vietnam. He resent troops in once the North Vietnamese came down, sent troops back on them. He beats Jimmy. Let's see. Jimmy Carter loses his presidential election bid with many votes, citing experience. So he loses. Jimmy Carter fails in '76, and they're saying Reagan would have came in the same way. Isn't that funny? Even if Nixon was impeached or not, basically what they're telling you is it would have turned out the same way. Hey, Drills of America, what's happening? So do you dig that? At Quantum Science, I know you can dig that. Well, thank you, Nico. I'm gonna go for it, maybe because we about to book up out this mug. So, this is what's in here. I want to read this, and see, this is where I'll share this a little bit. So sometimes I say if you don't get enough sleep. Somebody was saying if you don't sleep enough, your brain finds another way to get these dreams out of you, the daydreaming and that kind of thing. Sometimes we want to hold back on putting our dreams even out to the ethers, because even a thought, like that's why sometimes you even just hold on to your thoughts and your creative ideas, because they can so easily be monitored and swiped, and no gain to you. And you're seeing something that you've kind of, you haven't really even talked to too many people about, but yet you're seeing somebody do what you feel that you imagined. And so the Aztecs hadn't been conquered. And this is funny. So the Aztec not only defeat them, they use their technology against Cortez and them, and they quickly learn how to make the guns. Having no Aztec gold to speak of, they say that the Spanish had to pull up out of there. Plus, they would have been beat out of there. It's punishment for allying with the Spanish. The Toctocalcas are completely massacred. They would never trouble the Aztecs again. Well, if you work with the enemy, that might happen. Cancellation of Pizarro's conquest, the planned occupation of Peru and the Inca is canceled. Spanish can't afford it. Having mustard steel, the Aztec incorporated other technology, musket and cannons by the early 1800s. After repeated Spanish invasions, disease, and even French and British involvement, they fall in 1819. And it almost sounds like, the defeat of Mexico, but it's fake and real at the same time, because these wars. So that's the name of this book. Let me see if I can do this without tearing up. Okay. So this is where people are wrong and right at the same time again. If you get into the way really slavery was, this is a good kind of telling how slavery was. So I know the thing between Turtle Gang and the other guy, I'm sorry, old man. But they're both right, and they're both wrong at the same time too, because this does show how maybe they went into the islands and they would bring one or two people in. One or two people. So the idea of this slave ship thing, it's like one or two people. You dig? It's a lot of that. A lot of that just coming from the islands or going from the islands, going from the mainland, taking people to the island. A lot of that. But great resource for really understanding pre-colonial, pre coming into really going into the revolution. Great study on how the life was in developing America. Now, people that are conservatives are going to love this book. This is called A Shot in the Moonlight. How a free slave and a Confederate soldier fought for justice in the Jim Crow South. And this is a great read. A guy that was a slave had accumulated 125 acres. The guy had a smoking house, several pigs, horses, turkeys. I mean, the guy was prosperous for his times. Good guy, solid, bunch of children. What we had during Jim Crow times was trying times and times again, just forcing people off the lands. This would happen time and time again, forcing people off the lands. Even pre-Ku Klux Klan, but that kind of thing was some instances, you know, the police departments were over had weapons, but just, you know, it's hard to fight Winchesters when you got them old, even the percussion Civil War guns. This guy, to tell his story, prosperous for his time, self-sufficient, had his own farm, 14 years in the community. So one night, some people just get together. Again, they're trying to steal land. They get together and say, you know what? We don't care about him. We're going to come up and make up a story, and we're going to try to scare him off his land. A couple of years, he won't pay taxes. We'll swoop in and get the land. And so that's what they pretty much tried to do. Some mass riders went out there, grouped together, and this is what their point was. They were going to hit these 4 or 5 people that they could scare off the land and steal their land. Very common practice, 1870s. Well, the night they went to this cat's house, this cat had a small cabin, a 2-story cabin, basically. If you can imagine 1870s, 1880, it's pretty basic to build a back door, front door kind of house with a small bedroom over it. You know, not a loft, actually a room. And that's what he had. You know, he had I think 8 to 11 children at the time. All right, 8 to 11 children. So he gets woken up by his wife. His wife says, hey, somebody knocking on the door. He's like, what? So he walks up to the door. He don't answer. He's like, who is it? They say, it's a friend. He said, if it's a friend, why y'all got your faces covered up? Because he's kind of looking through the cracks and stuff. And they're like, well, we're just a friend. So he's like, you know, I don't answer to people. So they had knocked on the front door and the back door. And before he knew, they just, you know, they say accidental shooting. And so as the shooting starts, he takes the children that were downstairs, immediately takes them upstairs. As he's running upstairs, he gets shot in the arm. Now, upstairs above where everybody's gathering, shooting at him from below in front of his house, he opens a window. And when he opens a window, the dude gets shot in the head. And this is what's interesting. If you look at ball shot, if you can just imagine with my hat on, a little ball has gathered in my skin and kind of rolls around the back of my head and kind of falls out. That's what happened. Apparently not that uncommon during the Civil War. So he opens the window, immediately gets shot, but he sees a group of dudes down below him, and he blasts down on them. The shot apparently just hits one guy and it kills him, but it makes everybody else grab him and they take off. This is what was done to him. The guy kind of tells his wife, he's like, you know what, if they catch me here, might not be good for all of us. You stay tight and I'm going to, make some moves. So he kind of shadows this group. After he shoots one of them, he listens, he finds out one of them is dead. He shot one of the dudes, the dude who initially started shooting in his house, who possibly might have shot him 1 or 2 of the times he was shot. This guy got hit in the neck and it killed him. So this guy, George Denning, I believe, George goes to several places and turns himself in. And the governor at the time was very progressive. And the governor puts a company of men to protect him because he wanted the guy to go to trial and be, So that's what they do. They put an army to protect him. So this guy goes to trial. They give stories of a couple of different people, but this guy beats the murder charge because that's what they charge him. They charge him with murder. The jury said he didn't murder the people, but they got him for manslaughter and they gave him 7 years in prison. Now, where it says a Confederate soldier helped him, I don't want to get off on a tangent, but the Confederate soldier's story is really interesting. This Confederate soldier actually did a raid in Vermont and took like $2 million from 3 or 4 banks as a Confederate soldier in Vermont. He had base out of Canada. There's a picture of this cat. Oh my goodness, I want to give you this cat's name, but this cat was out of Kentucky. So that's his story. So soon as he went into prison, people wrote the governor and said he should be pardoned, that he was wrongly convicted, he should be pardoned. So they pardoned this guy, and he gets pardoned, and then they're threatening to start suing the people, because what happened to his family is his wife was able to escape with the children. They were able to get safe passage a little further north. They're in Kentucky here. So that night, they forced his wife to leave out of her house, and they burned his house down and all his everything. They burned down all his property. So this is kind of the backdrop of what happens. His wife gets away safely. He gets pardoned. He gets set free, and he gets caught and severely beaten by some people, where they knocked one of his eyes out, bust his head open. The guy didn't die. And the guy started suing. The guy with this Confederate soldier, they started actually suing people and winning. So those of you who don't think that the justice system didn't work in the South when people were brutalized, lynched, and burned out, there's several cases of people. This shows that the people were able to sue, and that the system did work at times. So if you want that kind of reference, they have this as Barnes and Nobles. You can get it at other places too, but wanted to put that out there. So I'm sorry, I saw some people. Hey, the Macbone, thank you for joining, bro. Hey, Nicole B, thank you. Thank you. I don't know how soon I'll come on again. Hey, I've been okay. Hey, Adolph, doing play. I've been okay. Yeah, so if you want this kind of history taught, that is and I do have 2 other books I do want to share. Forgot about them. They're over here. Plus, I need to stand up. I'm not gonna be able to sit too much longer. I'm gonna stand up. This is kind of getting me. But this was a book I had a long time ago. Reordered it. Got it. I paid $20-$30. It's the Pictorial History of Football. This doesn't have the picture of the player I wanted that had the number A1, A8, but it does have. So like Zach Hubbard does get to the fact of Walter Camp creating college football, and there's a lot of it does show that pictorially. This is Walter Camp, a big picture of him over here. But more interestingly, and this is from Quantum of Science, if you really want to know the history, because this is so Walter Camp created the All-American team, and this is one of his teams. Okay, this big dude right here, his name is Pudge Heffelfinger. Like Tommy Hilfiger, his name is Heffelfinger. He graduated from Yale. He is basically the first pro football player recorded far as that played American football. Would be this guy. Or he was paid $500 to play in a 18-something game. This is 1888. No, I made a video, you guys, about the flying wedge, and I kind of wanted to show that too. So you used to could be able to hold hands and just run over dudes with this formation. You could like run down the field. Now, for those of you older football players, you know, for the last 10 years, if you watch football for the last 10 years, you remember like 3 people could hold hands. Remember that? The way they changed the rules at one point, 3 people could still hold hands. Well, up until they changed that 3 people rule, actually 4 or 5. But people you could used to as a 11-man, 11-man unit could kind of hold hands and get in this almost army, you know, Roman Felix position and kind of run over everybody. And so that thing was kind of hard to stop. But that was the way football was at one point. You could just kind of keep kicking it between you and just control the ball like that. But again, it's a game put on top of one of our games, of course. So, and of course, I play college football, so I got the pictorial history of college football too. And they, it's so just some of the things that I'm interested. I do want y'all to read this one too. I've showed this one before, but my goodness. Critical thinkers, get this. Get this. Because you got to understand the way it's coming at you. And this is a good outline of how things are really coming at you. Prepare yourself for, the change. Oh yeah, this sitting is my dad told me you used not to be able to sub out because you would have to wait until yeah. Well the sub rules, the sub rules at one point was we fully see the sub rules really not end until the 1960 game with the Eagles and the Packers, because Chuck Benederick was the last player that really still went two-way. But yeah, the old sub rules was very similar to soccer. Soccer, there, once you go out, you out. And the old sub rules, that's why you played the whole game, because nobody went in and out. Now, of course, when a touchdown was scored, it was different because most guys played the whole game even if you kicked. But at one time, they've used the flat toe shoe, which has been used for a lot of years. So yeah, that was initially how it was played. And then after World War II, you see the rules slowly changing right around then, where you had what they call platoon football. Yeah. But that's why, you had to be in great shape. You had to be in great shape. Someone said something that really, I'll say, that influenced my life that I really didn't even understand about myself. But when I played college footballs, if you guys watched, what is it called? The HBO series where they're on TV with the Lions and stuff. One of the Lions players said something interesting that I had never thought of, but definitely applied to me. He was like, receivers get fat when they get older because when the years they play receivers, all they did is ran all day. And that's a fact. From 79 till 81, those 3 seasons, for those August through October, I couldn't tell you the amount of running I did. I probably ran back and forth around the country a couple times. Now, HBCUs, black college, whatever you want to call it, it was other dudes, but sometimes it was just be like the starting receivers. We'd have to go through the whole practice damn near with our individual coach, and it would just be like 2 or 3 receivers. When dudes start getting hurt, where we had to run literally, like we would do 7-on-7, we'd have to run every route. And do you know what that means? That ain't like, oh, well, you throw it over here. No, that means you full trying to beat these motherfuckers. Because if you ain't trying to beat them, even in practice, they'll pop your ass. So you ain't trying to say, fuck that, I'm dominant all the time. And that's just our lives. And I look at my own life, the years I quit playing football, I did balloon up. So 10 miles ran a game. Oh, yeah, 10 miles a game. Oh, yeah, because we ran, like, no matter if we blocked or not, if we ran off every time. So my sophomore year, we just started doing it. And they never took advantage of it because we would just get behind people. And they never would just drop the ball to us like that. But yeah, we ran a lot. I played offensive, defensive, special teams in high school. Yeah. Well, thank you, Alchemist. Thank you for joining in. Yeah. Up until my junior year, up until my senior year in high school, I played everything. I played on both sides. So yeah, it wasn't until really ninth grade when I was a freshman quarterback, we had a great team. I didn't really have to play. We had such a great team that it was like we had 22 people that was like the best freshmen. And it was like, 8, 10 junior highs or 8, 10 other high schools, like 8 to 10 other high schools that we played. And we were still that dominant. So I didn't have to play then. So just depend on your school. But it was a great way to be in shape. I encourage people that have children that are playing, definitely have them play both ways. My best friend's son, I told him punts, kickoffs, be on all that stuff. And I'll say this, football is sport is dying, no doubt about that. I saw that firsthand. My boy that's now 20, I saw that firsthand. Football, little boy football was dying even then. I mean, he was part of a program that was a winning program for years, and we just looked at the drastic numbers on the news report they did, and it's even worse now. So little boy football, and I guess the challenge is I've said before, the challenge, there's like 7-on-7 football, that's what football is. Well, what you're going to see, what's called the Pro Bowl, is 7-on-7. There's no, on 7-on-7 football, there's really no need for linemen, depending on which kind of flag. Because there's flag football that's full rules, full blocking and all that. You know, PO back blocks have changed, but some flag leagues is full, you know, you still, everything else is real. You can block, you know, all that is real. Some flag rules is just strictly passing. If you understand that, that's what they call the arrow kind of assault leagues. But that's what you see now for youth. And I've said this many times, whoever comes up with a way to make linemen compete, I don't know how, or linemen are going to really, offensive linemen are going to seem to be needed, but the problem is, how are you going to keep up defensive linemen when there's really no way that they can compete? And offensive linemen, for that matter, too, because 7-on-7 needs none of that. So So I don't know. Whoever comes up with a way to help these people compete, you are really going to help a lot of young men. So population. Read my soul. Do I think it's like, if we looked at what's new in development this year, Mahomes wears a new helmet. He wears it, but you see the new type of helmet a lot of the Chiefs wear, where it's more streamlined mask. It's, you know, it's not as the old fashioned. It's the new next step. But still, until they figure out the helmets and the head hits, and that's what people love. I mean, the players can take all the physical hits, and you can repair these things. You can't repair the brain. So that's the element that people like. People like a knockout. You know, that's just how it is. A knockout in football is, I mean, you can just be around anybody. You know, they used to like when they would see people get knocked out in practice. They would hesitate. I watched a fullback. I watched a fullback on the scout team knock out 3 starters by himself. They all met at the hole. He knocked all 3 of these dudes out, and he ran the ball. These is all 3 starters. He hit a tackle and 2 linebackers, and he knocked them all 3 out. They all like collided on him, and he kind of like hit one with a forearm, knocked him out just with his forearm. The other 2 tried to hit him. He kind of hit like both these dudes with one helmet, but the second dude he hit with a forearm too. So it's like boom, boom. He hits this one guy, and then he's like he hits these both of them head to head, and then the other one, as he hit, he also hit him with the forearm as he was holding the ball. He kind of gave him that too. Knocked out 3 men. He ran downfield, and 3 of them is just with their heads in the ground, knocked out. They was all like, you know, on their knees. You know how you be on your head in the ground? Knocked them out like that. So, but yeah, it's definitely, I play mine stick. Bitch, yeah. Oh my goodness, read my soul. Let me show you. You guys know I am a clothes junkie. And if I can do this without tearing up, maybe. Yeah. Okay. Give me a second. Oh. Okay, so I'm a collector of fine wines, and I'm a collector of tennis shoes. So, you know, I had to get a pair of these with the Simple box. These are just simple ones. I have bad feet, but yeah, these you can wear these for hours. Really super comfortable. I'm gonna see if I can play pickleball in them. And last night we was at Benihana's, and you know, I'm just poloed down. You know what do you say? Wipe me down, and I ain't take my coat in there because I already know when you go in the Mall of America, don't take a coat or put your coat in the locker because it gets hot in that mug. So I already knew. And I mean, it's cold. Like we'd have broke down, I'd have froze to death. But I just knew. I'm like, I'm not gonna be outside. I'm gonna be up in this mall. And I've had these the longest. I bought these first. But yeah, I wore these at Mall of America with the polo. You know, got the bears on the horses, or got the polo on the horses. Got that color in there, these Jason Tatum's. So I'm a sneakerhead. I don't hoop no more. But don't mean my feet don't still need what I bought these shoes for originally. It's to be able to walk, you know, walk in comfort, walk without pain. The sleeve is kind of cool. So yeah, that's my little little hobby that I do. Kind of into this kind of stuff. Clothes galore. Oh my goodness, guys! If you guys want to come up here, I've said this before. Look, if you want to come to Minnesota, if you're a clothes person, and I don't mean just shoes, I mean clothes. Come here in February, March, and don't bring much luggage, but come here then and shop then. And all this stuff that is just monstrous prices, like my coats. I'm looking at these like, people, you really gonna spend $500 in here? You know, I'm not gonna tell the store's name, but I'm like, really? When you could have got these coats for? But it's like, if that's you get them now, I guess you'll suffer. But clothes capital of the world is here forever, kind of way you want to dress. Oh, and I forgot to tell you guys, I am getting married in September. So forgot to put that out there. You know, I am getting married then, so I wanted to share that good news for you. So love is still in the air. Maybe I'll even put where I propose. You know, I've sent it to some friends. You know, so yeah, I wanted to share that with you. Uh, uh, oh my goodness. Oh my coat. Lorenzo, you had to bring up my coat. It's my Ali collection. Let me tell you about my coat. Okay. The weather here has been really, like, we had an ice storm. So I live on a hill, basically. And coming down the hill, there's a roundabout. So this dude like drives off on the roundabout. So this truck, who should have never even went through the roundabout, has blocked this. So I've got to drive a long way. So anyway, end up going to work some kind of way. I don't know if a plow hit my car, but my car, it got my trunk. So I've now bought a new trunk and got to get it put on, get it painted. But right now, my trunk is fused. So the gear I bought for Sean, I finally have it in a box next to my fur coat that I was taking to go get it cleaned. So yeah, I've got to get all this work done so yes, that's where my fur coat is. I can still drive my car though, but yeah. Thank you. Yes, I am getting married. My friend. Thank you. I'm shrinking. Thank you. Yes. Well, yeah, man. I only got to wear it one time. I got to wear it one time this winter. Oh, but I'm gonna get to. Oh, let me tell you. I've got to call Sly again because there's some Canadian companies. What was his name? The brother that went up to Canada. You know, you can get them coats. What's his name? Henson. You know, Henson was the first dude to go into the North Pole. You can get one of them in Canada. I mean, just full Fox. Oh, with the hood. Oh, so yeah, Matt Henson. You can get the Matt Henson's gear. But yeah, man, I'm gonna have a big old party up here. You can believe that. So thank you guys, thank you. So yeah, I'll show. Oh, for real, man. Oh yeah. So yeah, I got to get all that worked out to the car, but I had to get my car painted anyway. So I was like, okay, this is just something else. Tell you what though, got them tires. Oh man. Oh, and let me tell you, it's as I said, tomorrow night it is. It's about to be that real cold is coming back. And I got like a knee. When it be like that cold, you gotta have the knee link. If you don't wear the knee link, it get up under them waist links. You gotta have the knee stuff. So that's why for women the North Face is going to the knees is pretty popular out here. But yeah, what's coming up tomorrow night is gonna be some real. And yeah, I always say don't go out in the cold without being able to prepare if the car broke down. That wasn't me last night. I definitely would have been the one like, damn, turn the car back on because I didn't have none of my stuff. Uh, definitely. Yeah, because tomorrow night it will be. It will be. Well, y'all, sitting in this position ain't great. Thank you for coming through. I can't give you any specific time, but I will say, yeah, it's like, here's Mike, got the mic, got the computer built. We just need storage. So that's all. It's yeah, things are going. I got people that want to collaborate. So yeah, stay tuned. Just want to share that good news. Thank you for the well wishers. You know, the family is solid. We went through some good times recently too. But yeah, I just want to say, in closing again, look at when you have all these emotional triggers going around the world, and then you see the ritual that's done behind these emotional things, then it shows itself. See when they conclude the ritual, the one that's eating always shows itself. And so remember that. Remember when they try to sway your emotions, because emotional maturity is a real thing. You shouldn't be able to have too many outside influences coming into what you emotionally want to attach to or emotionally attached to, where you're not objective anymore. Because a lot of times emotion makes you not objective. So consider that when you give up your energy, because that's what you're doing. You're giving up your energy to something. And so is it worth giving up your energy to? So wanted to put that out there. And it's always, what does it mean to me? I mean, it really is. What does this mean to you? How is this really influencing you? Where you have to talk about it, you have to share it, you have to analyze it, you touch it, And I understand some things have to be touched. I just choose not to touch a lot of this. That's all. And I'm going to say this for people I like. I'm going to say this. Okay. Consider this. If there's 3 of me sitting right here, okay? If it's 3 of me sitting right here, I'm representing all 3, okay? If one of me has a different color shirt, don't talk about different color shirts. Because you're putting attention to the different part of yourself. Because if you really look at the grouping, it's different parts of myself. So if there's one part of myself not as developed as the other 2 parts, I'm not going to talk about things that might, even though I'm not purposely trying to highlight the weakest part of myself, my rap does. And so I don't mean to put out information that highlights the weaker part of myself, but just by me attacking certain conversation. It does. So you always have to think of, I am another yourself. So if there's three looks of your, you are all three. And do not say things that highlight something about yourself that really, because think about how, part of yourself may not be caught up. And even though that part of myself may laugh with my other selves, it's a canned laugh because it highlights, a part of me that's not flashing too. So you got to do that for your people. I mean, come on, guys. Don't be so hungry. Sorry. Don't need to attack anyone. Really. Move on. Just move on. That's all. What does this mean to me? Move on. You know it. You ain't got to say it out loud. You know it. You know it. We know you know it. And that's the cool thing about certain people. We know that you know it. So, you ain't got to highlight it all the time. That's all. So, it's no attack. I'm just saying, always think about how you look. All of how you look. And you don't want to highlight that thing. I don't think you purposely realized you was highlighting something. So, it's always this, guys. You always want the scales this, If it's all different parts of yourself, you don't want this. You always want this, always. So saying that, thank you guys for coming. Sorry I ain't been able to come on as much as I have, but it's a lot going on up here. But recruiters, you guys know Hoopers, holler at me. So thank you, and till we meet again, say less.